continuing on the SEC track here, we're going to be doing Vanderbilt versus Alabama. We got Coach Preston here from Trash Talk Tailgate to be discussing that. Preston, it's great to have you on, and if you can give the audience a little inside scoop on your podcast as well.
Yeah, so I've been a Division I college football coach at a few different schools, and right now I'm currently not coaching because, just trying to focus on the TTT and the Trash Talk Tailgate. I just love talking ball. And so we've got 3 different live streams each week. We've got our 11:30 a.m. Sunday morning live stream to recap college football. Then to recap the NFL, we've got our Tuesday 2 p.m. live stream. And then we've got our Friday 7:30 Eastern Time p.m. live stream to go over all the stuff that you need to know to get ready for the football weekend ahead. And we just love talking ball. I love talking ball. We've got great experts and analysis. You won't get it anywhere else. I've lived college football. I've done it at the highest level. And if you think you know better than me, come talk shit to me. I welcome that. If you want to come talk shit to us or, say how dumb we are or anything, we welcome that. But please just come join the tailgate.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that with everyone. And I think that's one of the reasons why I always enjoy having you on is you're always yourself, and you're always willing to give your opinion no matter what other people think. So I always admire and appreciate that about you.
Appreciate that. Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. Always a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're looking at this Vanderbilt Alabama game. I'm not going to get into too much of what happened last year. We all know what happened last year, but fast forward to this game. Alabama's coming off a really strong win on the road versus Georgia. You have a Vanderbilt team who's starting off 5-0 for the first time since 1943. Both teams within the top 25. And Alabama certainly is heavily favored in this game. And, I think the spread right now is, 10 or 13 points, something like that. But at the same time, too, Vanderbilt deserves a lot of credit for what they've done so far this year. Diego Pavia is doing his thing with over 15 touchdown passes and 300 rushing yards. And also they're taking care of business and winning the games that they should be. Mm-hmm. So Preston, with that said, you look at this matchup, what are some key things that you're kind of looking out for? And what do you think Vanderbilt needs to do and able to pull off the upset at Tuscaloosa?
Vanderbilt, in order to pull this upset, their offense has to score and they have to stay ahead of the chains. And I think they can do that because Alabama's run defense is very concerning. So I know it's Georgia, but they gave up runs against Georgia of 24, 29, 43, 43, and 21. And then they give up 160 yards rushing per game, which is 89th in the country. Like, their pass defense is excellent. It might be the best secondary in the entire country, but their run defense is very suspect. And one of their D linemen is going to be out for this game. So they're not great, but now they're going to be down another good player for them. So it's just, I think if you're Vanderbilt, you have to score and you have to stay ahead of the chains. And this is a very, very difficult offense to stop. And Alabama saw it last year. This spread option offense with Diego Pavia and just this, they're very, very good. You have to be disciplined to stop this offense. The other thing is Alabama, not only do they struggle in the run game, they struggle against mobile quarterbacks. Tommy Castellanos ate them alive against Florida State. When they played Florida State.
Yeah.
So, So just at Diego Pavia, I think he's a better quarterback than Tommy Castellanos. So if I'm a Bama fan, I am concerned about the run game of Vanderbilt. And then the other thing I'm very concerned about is this is not great. So Bama's red zone defense is not good either. They allow scores on 83% of the possessions, which is 66 in the country. But Vanderbilt's red zone offense scores on 96% of their drives. which is 15th in the country. So I think Vandy can move the ball on them. And then once they get in the red zone, I think they're going to score. But that, again, it's going to be up to Alabama's defense to put them behind the chains and force them to throw the ball. If they can force Diego Pavia to beat them through the air consistently, I like Alabama's chances in this game. But I think this game might be closer than people realize. The other thing is Ty Simpson, he's playing out of his freaking mind. This year, he's got over 1,100 yards passing, 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And he's played Florida State. And then he just went on the road and beat Georgia. And he's playing really, really well. Kalen DeBoer, he wins all the games that he probably shouldn't. He is a big game savant. He is now 7-0 against Kirby Smart, Steve Sarkisian, and Dan Lanning. But you don't think he's that good of a coach for some reason. He just struggles with consistency. He struggles with consistency like they struggle in the games that they should win. And this is what happened last year. They came off that huge win against Georgia, and they laid an egg against Vandy. So now Bama, they should be focused on this game because Diego Pavia is continuing to talk shit. And so far, he's backed it up. Remember, before the season, they said, Diego Pavia said, they're not the same without Nick Saban. Tommy Castellano said that going into the Florida State game, and he ran all over them. So if there was ever a game for Florida State for Alabama to get up for, it's this game because it's a revenge game for them. They need to stop the run. They need to be disciplined, and they need to stop Diego Pavia and this Vanderbilt run game.
Yeah, you brought up a lot of good points there, and a couple things I'll definitely elaborate on too. I mean, obviously the elephant in the room is going to be how efficient can Vanderbilt be when running the football, right? You mentioned all that too. And for the most part, Vanderbilt's offensive line hasn't necessarily been great this year. It's been solid. It's done what it's needed to do. I mean, I watched a little bit of their game last week versus Utah State, and Utah State put up about 35 points on them too. And so for a team like that to be able to have somewhat sustainable success versus them definitely gets me a little bit concerned too. But I think if you're Vanderbilt, something outside of Diego Pavia that I don't think has been talked about a lot is I would really love to see them find a way to get some more play action going, particularly just like in the red zone you mentioned with all-star tight end Eli Stewart. I think if you're going to win this game, you have to find ways to get him involved. Obviously, he's their number one weapon, but to me, I think there's going to be a real good opportunity to really get some mismatchups there, particularly in the red zone, just like what you said too. And maybe some more explosive plays where, for example, we can even go back last year and talk about Jackson Arnold or Michael Hawkins in the game when they played Oklahoma last year. So I mean, it's a consistent pattern too. And we talked about this off camera too. I'm showing Kalen DeBoer a little bit more love. I mean, I haven't exactly been his biggest fan, but now that he has pretty much more top 10 wins now than my man James Franklin, I'm starting to like him a little more. So I'll give him all that too. But I mean, really, if you're Alabama,
Kalen DeBoer is the opposite of James Franklin. Like, they are polar opposites. Kalen DeBoer wins every big game he plays. He just drops games that he shouldn't. James Franklin wins all the games that he should. He just cannot for his life win a big game.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That could be a whole nother soapbox in terms of what I thought of as I was watching the game versus Oregon last week. But you brought up Ty Simpson too, and we'll talk about that for a second too. I mean, for a redshirt junior to come in, and for the most part too, not a lot of us really kind of knew what to expect from him. I mean, sure, you can go back and watch some of his highlights or whatever, but I mean, he's a kid that I think he exemplifies. For example, that's what happens too when you're able to sit within a system for a year or two, something that I think gets overlooked a lot, especially in this day and age of college football. So he deserves a lot of credit for that too. And I think most importantly, something that I think also is getting a little bit overlooked is I think just how much more balanced Alabama's offense has been these past couple games. And I guess what I mean more by offense by balance is just the
Morgan.
fact that they've done a really good job of controlling the line of scrimmage and controlling the clock.
Morgan.
So when you're putting that all together, no worries. So when you're putting all that together, I think that's really what you're seeing most from Alabama. That's really impressed me is just the fact that they're implementing their plan and they're running with it. And I think also Ryan Grubb being your offensive coordinator, I think has been such a really strong addition for him too. That you mentioned to us too when you last came on.
Mm-hmm. I still worry about their run game. They haven't been great running the ball. Their offensive line, I think, has played better. But I think they need to run the ball better, and I think that's more of a credit to Ty Simpson because they haven't been able to have that balance that I think they would like. So they put a lot of it on his shoulders, and he's played really, really well. Even against Florida State, he played well. And it just like he didn't turn the ball over. They didn't give him a whole lot of time against that Florida State defense. So Oregon, come here. Stop. Dang it. I'm so sorry, man.
Oh, dude, don't sweat it.
No. Shit, I don't know what I was saying. Yeah, I think you have to give a lot of credit to Ty Simpson for the way that he has played. When I think a lot of Alabama fans were not that excited about him because they're like, how good could he be as a thrower if he couldn't beat out Jalen Milroe? And we know Jalen Milroe's limitations as a passer. But he's played really well, and they've got really good weapons. Isaiah Horton, the transfer from Miami, obviously Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard. They've got one of the better wide receiver rooms in the entire country. It's just, can Jam Miller finally have a big game that I think we've all kind of anticipated him having from the running back position? And then just if like I said, if Vanderbilt can run the ball and stay ahead of the chains, I like their chances a lot better. And then once they get into the red zone, I think they will score. But if Alabama's defense can just be disciplined and stop them on first and second down and force Diego Pavia to consistently beat them through the air, going up against maybe the best secondary in the country, I really like Alabama's chances. But it all starts with their ability to stop the run.
Yeah, and you mentioned that too. Even just being able to contain Pavia, because I think that's one of his best attributes, right? Is being able to extend plays, particularly when they're outside of the pocket, and let his playmakers just simply be playmakers too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I guess the other thing too is I think if you're Alabama too, the one thing I would like to see a little bit more of is maybe this is just a me thing, but I feel like we're missing a game where Ryan Williams actually kind of goes off. You know what I mean? To me, this could feel like a game where if Vanderbilt maybe gets a little bit too aggressive trying to pressure Ty Simpson, I can really see Ryan Williams having a couple explosive plays and being able to have a touchdown or two. If Vanderbilt gets a little bit too aggressive or if Ty Simpson can't get into a rhythm. But to me, this just seems like one of those games where it's just too much of an uphill battle for Vanderbilt to come into Tuscaloosa and beat them for a second year in a row. Even though I do think it will be a competitive game, but I think it could get out of hand by the third or fourth quarter.
I agree. And to your point about Ryan Williams, Kalen DeBoer is great at scheming him wide open. He just has drop issues. We saw it against Georgia. He had that wide open touchdown drop that he was schemed wide open for. He was wide open. There was no one within 5 to 7 yards of him, and he just dropped it. Ryan Williams is his own worst enemy at times because he's so good. He just has drop issues. He's not consistent at catching the football. So, he hasn't had that big game like you said. So I think that will be something to watch out for. But it's not just Ryan Williams. It's Isaiah Horton and it's Jeremy Bernard. They've got a really good wide receiver core.